Hello, my name is Steve Samuel from Design Visionaries, and I'm so eager to share with you some geometry and some experiences that I've recently had. I visited Cornwall, England, and they have this project called the Eden Project, and they have this thing called the biosphere. And the biosphere is this very large set of buildings that are like a big, huge greenhouse. And in that greenhouse, they have all of these wonderful plants that will only grow in warm climates. And so I have some pictures, and the geometry was so inspiring that I decided to do a number of videos on how to create the geometry and how to borrow some of the shapes for my industrial design. As you know, I've been doing industrial design for many years, and I believe that a lot of really great industrial design comes from borrowing visual cues from nature, natural shapes. And the one that most intrigued me for this particular video was this one here. It's increasingly exciting to me how these fruits and nuts grow with this kind of almost hexagonal pattern, and it looks so mathematical. Also, I went to Scotland, where I saw a lot of beautiful, beautiful design, these buildings. I've always been intrigued by doors, but these buildings have stood there for 500 years, 600 years, and so I'm going to be doing a number of videos on some of those shapes as well. So with that said, we have this little piece of geometry that I've done, and I'd like to share with you some of the fine points of how I created it, because it was challenging. And of course, I started with a sketch, and I did a nice little revolve of that sketch. And then I did a number of planes that would enable me to do intersections, because what I've done is created one little section, of course, and then patterned the heck out of it all over. But in order to do it, I wasn't able to use algorithmic modeling to get exactly what I wanted. So as you can see, I made these number of intersection curves, and I distributed odd numbers of points on them so that I could begin to create these splines that put all the points together. So let's see, what can I show you? If I do a Control-Shift-K, you can see that there's this kind of, I'm going to call it an Argyle pattern. Probably not using the right words, but there's this Argyle pattern that I made that enabled me to start doing some surface projections. And in the end, I took those projections and I put little points. Let's see if I could show you the points. I made these offset points and did through curve shapes from each point to every Argyle pattern. So there you go. I had a section of this piece of geometry that was defined by these two planes. It's an angled section. You can see it from the top. And I made the Argyle pattern. I'm sure Argyle's not the right terminology, but you know what I mean. And this pattern was done so that when I pattern it, when I patterned the pattern, it interlocks. So as you can see, the next move was to do a geometry pattern. And there you have it. I had a really fantastic set of shapes. These are sheet bodies that enabled me to kind of emulate something that looks like a pineapple. So that took me a while to figure out how to do it. Lots of times this stuff isn't really that time consuming. The time consuming part is figuring out how to approach it. And then to do the top of this thing, I would create splines that go from this edge to this edge, and I would make another surface, a through curve mesh surface. So as you can see, there's a through curve mesh, there's a through curve mesh. I tried to pattern it, but it didn't work, it didn't come together. I had to do individual through curve meshes, so that was weird. I'm not exactly sure why. And sometimes I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir with CAD. It's not necessary to try to figure out everything. You know, lots of times things should work but don't. That's just the nature of the beast. So I'm just going to hide all of this so I can say Control-Shift-K and just bring back the parts that I like. Oh, okay, so there you go. So as you can see, I had a sewn together piece of geometry. And at some point, let's go to, where's that? Where am I here? Yeah, okay, here we go. At some point, I had the whole top and the bottom all sewn together. And then I started making these nice sharp leaves. The sharp leaves were done with a swept geometry, and each sweep was done with a perimeter law, so I could make it come to a sharp point and then grow as it went. So I did a bunch of those, and some of them I tilted more than others. I did a pattern, and I did a pattern controlled by a spreadsheet, and in the spreadsheet I gave it different offsets so I would have a bit of random going. And as you can see, for every single leaf, I had a sketch that that I used for the law control, and I used a perimeter law. So there was a base curve and a law curve, and the whole thing spanned out. And so that was not so easy. But in the end, it came together very well. And if I say Control W, I can get rid of the sketches. And there you have it. That's a beautiful pineapple-like shape that emulates some of these beautiful patterns that I saw in these plants. Well, that was fun. My name again is Steve Samuel from Design Visionaries. I'm going to take this model and I'm going to make it available on the Design Visionaries website, where you can get lots of goodies. There's lots of resources on that website, and it was certainly a pleasure to go to these faraway places. I'm going to do a number of other videos on some of the other flowers and shapes that I encountered in Europe. It's really fun to travel because you see things that you are not familiar with, and you absorb that into your psyche, I think. And I think it informs you as a designer, and it makes you a more well-rounded person. You meet lovely people who can tell you all sorts of things that that you might learn from. So appreciate your viewership. Please like and subscribe. And like I say, there's going to be, this is a part of a series of the different shapes that I saw in Scotland and in England, and it's a privilege to bring these to you. Thank you very much.